a massive loss to a great profit, and I thought did a great job. And
that's probably it. You did your job too well, and off you go.
No, it wasn't that. It was that I ruffled feathers, and they really the reason why these guys moved from Chicago to Amsterdam was to live in this harmonious life. They could smoke drugs anytime they wanted, and they could just have this really chill thing. And I was pushing excellence, and I was pushing too hard, obviously, and so that was a huge failure on my part. And I realized at the end of the year that I didn't understand the culture of the organization, and I promised never to not do that again. So learning a culture was a huge part of it for me, and understanding that you can strive for excellence without while getting people on board with you, and not pushing them from behind, but hopefully leading them from the front and getting them to believe in a vision rather than getting pushed the whole time to just do the basic job.
Amazing at 22. You learned that at 23 when you did?
Yeah, that would be 22 at the time.
So 22, and people, you're a high school dropout. You learned more than anybody else that went to university, aside from maybe some physicists and doctors. I don't know. But you learned more than anybody with a general arts degree that spent $40,000, right?
Right. Learning comes from real life experiences, I think, absolutely. And failing. Trying things that are well beyond your reach and failing at them, and getting up and doing it again.
That's amazing. Awesome. All right, we'll take a quick break and get to one more song from Alexandra, and we're going to listen to. Her first song was "Awake," by the way, and we're now awake. And the next song is Annika with 2 C's, and we'll be right back, and we're going to talk about Beckta 2.0, Gezelig, and play, of course. And we'll be right back. All right, thank you so much to Alexandra, and that was Annika.
Eugene's he's terrific. We had our post-wedding party at Zapots, and anyway, he's an old friend.
She said, go with it, go with it, go with it as it flies. Suck the clouds as they pass by, and I listen to her like a god, 'cause in the rebel riddle she lies. The ones that teach it's all intangible, so clutch on and you'll die. Oh, how I hate her when it thunders, a shattering hurt I can't describe. Even then the sunlight comes and I need love, warm shivers walk my spine, and they count me crazy 'cause I killed the middle line. Why would I waste my time? Oh, Annika, my fiery angel, Annika.
Did a great benefit recently for Tibet that we were happy to be part of as well. And
you took part in that as well?
I mean, we just donated some gift certificates and stuff. And anyway, it's just he does so much for our community, and I love the organization.
And I hope he does well in his next venture and everything as well. That's going to be interesting. So I guess a lot of people would love to know how you came to Ottawa and started your first restaurant. Beckta, what was your inspiration for the first Beckta?
Right. I mean, I just wanted to again, going back to the tale earlier of creating a restaurant family of my own. I wanted to do a restaurant that I loved going to work in every day, and something that would treat people incredibly well. And I think it's what we've become known for is our sense of caring, this sense of hospitality, where we're on your side, and we want nothing more than to make sure you have a wonderful experience in the restaurant, whatever that is.
I remember the first time I went to that restaurant, I walked out of there, and I was still maybe 5 years deep into the restaurant business, and I walked out thinking that is the best service I've ever had in my life, anywhere, hands down. And it was fantastic. And as you know, I came here for an anniversary. I asked my wife to marry me at Gezelig.
Oh, really?
I came here for our anniversary earlier earlier as well. So so your restaurants get me. So
thank you very much.
And you guys treated us amazing at all occasions.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And that warms my heart. That's what we're trying to do. That's what our end goal is. So that's really what it was. It wasn't about being the best food or the best service or whatever. I wanted people to feel that they had the best hospitality. That whenever they left that they, truly cared for. And it was great. And but shortly after we opened, it just took off, and people really glommed onto the concept. And so my general manager and my chef at the time just kept sort of pushing for more and more, and wanting to do things that are more dramatic and more serious. And so we ended up getting into like fine dining stuff, like really fine dining, and where it wasn't necessarily where I wanted to go originally. And so it's just sort of gone from there. And then when we opened up Play, it allowed us to really be able to play with small plates and a very casual atmosphere, and just have fun with it again. And then Gezellig, we wanted to contribute something to our neighborhood where my chef partner Mike and I both live, and we just wanted a super comfortable restaurant. So Gezellig is actually probably closer to what the original Beckta was than anything else. Okay. And but then we just happened to find this old bank building with soaring 25-foot ceilings, and now incredible art from local artists again. And so it's, but Beckta then needed to be moved to its sort of rightful place as the flagship restaurant. And then when we got approached, I grew up on Elgin Street, so to be able to be brought back here.
So yesterday's, you're walking by it pretty much every single day going to work for Fridays, sorry.
Exactly. I had never actually been in here before.
Oh, really?
When I was a kid, my parents were very poor, and I just thought maybe one day I could come and eat in a place like this. And
now you are.
Yeah, well, not the building necessarily. No, that's a little beyond our reach, but we got a 16-year lease here, so that's
that's huge.
Yeah, and we're in it for the long haul. So this is this will be the rest of my life, and it's great. I can't wait. It's so much fun to be in this space. There's so many great things about it, from the history. I've gotten to know the descendants of Dr. Grant who built the place. The great grandkids were in for dinner the other night celebrating their 10-year work anniversary. I've been talking to the great granddaughter by email back and forth. She's lovely. They donated all of these family heirloom glasses with the Grant family crest on it, and so we broke those out the other day to have special toast with. It's fun. There's so much great history to the building. So many great partnerships with the people in the building. So Shopify, KPMG, CIBC, Canada Council of the Arts, Ottawa Tourism, New Zealand High Commission. It's awesome. Morga does a great job. There's a 7th floor terrace that's open to the public that nobody knows about here, that you can just go up and eat your lunch, and just come into 150 Elgin.
So don't bring your dog.
Don't bring your dog. Yeah, but just go and bring your lunch, and it's beautiful up there with the best views in Ottawa. And anyway, there's so many great parts about this, but it allows the chefs and the cooks to have an amazing kitchen with size and space to be able to do incredible food where they never had it before. Mm-hmm. It used to be 60 degrees in the summertime in the old kitchen, and now as of Tuesday we're going to have this beautiful air conditioner doing nothing but the kitchen, and so it's going to be nice and cool, good. And there'll be a nice place to work. A much bigger wine cellar for our wine director Peter to play with, and so we can expand the wine program and the beverage program. And so many different events. The rooms are flexible and large private dining. So many other events that we could never do before, we can now have in.
Yeah, we're right now in a large. What would you call this room that we're doing this interview in?
This is called the Grant Room. It can be subdivided into the Elgin and Gloucester rooms with a soundproof movable partition, but it can hold up to 28 at a single table or 36 across 3 tables. So for people who want an intimate wedding, it's great for them. Yeah. But we just had the Governor General in here yesterday, bestowing an award on some folks from out east, and it was fabulous to be able to have that in and to have the Governor General staff say, "Oh, what a great building!"
Was that David's first time here?
Yes, that was his first time here, and I don't know, it's just a lot of fun. So many people connect with this place for a number of reasons: historical, or the location, or the crossroads, or the history. I mean, it's everything. There's so much. We're going to be discovering secrets about this place for the next 16 years.
And did you approach the people that were kind of selling this place, or the early plans of this new building?
They approached us.
They approached you.
Yeah, they really wanted. It was hard because they didn't know what to do with it.
And who was it?
Morgard.
It was Morgard.
So one of the largest landlords in Canada, and they bought the property from the city of Ottawa in order to build a 21-story office tower addition to the Grant House. Part of the deal with the city was that they had some public space, which is where the 7th floor terrace is, but they also needed to restore this heritage home both inside and out to its historic charms, and so that meant you couldn't change walls around. You had to retain the beautiful moldings, the crown moldings, the baseboards, all this stuff, and so you couldn't do anything that wasn't reversible. So they needed a partner that could work with them within the confines, and they had a lease fall apart with some other restaurateurs before. Called me up and said, "We really want to see if we can make this work," and they really did. They really went hard, and they spent a ton of money and a ton of effort and spared no expense, and in order to do the things that needed to be done to be able to animate the space properly. Proper HVAC, proper heating and cooling is so important, especially in an old building with zero insulation.
Yeah.
It's from 1875. They spent hundreds of thousands of dollars just redoing the brickwork on the outside, and
essentially you took 3 months off from your other positions to be here as kind of the project manager and everything.
I was general contractor, project manager, and designer.
Oh, wow.
And it was 6 months full time, and probably another 6 months before that part time of just intense planning.
So how many university degrees were molded into you doing that one? So it started. We had sales, we have customer service, we have now interior decorating, project management, general contractor. Like,
it was fun. I love building things.
You create an interesting life for yourself.
Yeah, I like doing things. I like building things, and I like getting my hands dirty, and I don't know. I'm very hands-on.
Did you do as much with this one as the other play in Gesely? Were you guys
much more?
You did, yeah. Of course, there's much more.
Yeah, I mean, this was just much more complex. But I took what I learned from the original Beckta, which was a small reno in comparison, to play where it was actually quite a large reno and in a historic building as well. With a lot of challenges, and you learn the building codes really, and know what you can and can't do, and then at Gesely had great partners again and domicile our landlords there, and so you just sort of learn along the way.
Landlords for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And so you learn along the way. You talk to the trades. The trades know all the secrets.
What are some secrets that you learned for the trades? What's a tip you can give some people looking at some contracting this summer?
Just push back a little bit. Ask questions. Try to understand the problems yourself so that you can think creatively around them. If somebody says, well, this is how much it's going to cost and this is the way you got to do it, just say, well, I'm not so sure about that. Go with your gut and talk to more people. Befriend people, and especially contractors. I like designing things with trades rather than with engineers or architects as much. I mean, they are definitely important and have their roles, but the guys that actually build the stuff are the guys that understand how all the pieces go together, I think, better than anyone. So you talk to the electricians and say, okay, what can I do in this situation? Or this is my idea and how do we make it work? And then you go back to the engineers and ask them to draw it. That's the way I always worked.
Did you have to do much electrical work in this building?
Oh my God, yes.
I wasn't sure everything was Fridays might have had done some things, or
it was stripped out completely. Even the floor joists had to be removed.
You're looking at the speakers too,
No, the only thing that remained from the original, even all the moldings were pulled off and then reinstalled. Like everything was from scratch. Like it was stripped down to its core. Like the demolition bill was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars and took about 4 months to do before we got started with anything. That was before I started my work. Morgan and PCL were doing this even before us. So it was a very intense build out, but great. And then
in the end, it definitely turned out. That's for sure.
And how are our building codes improving? Are we a little more archaic? Do we have still a lot of work to do in making it easier for creative people like yourself creating the restaurant that they need? Or do we have archaic hindrances that should have been, that are outdated from the 60s or 50s that we should be able to ease?
No, a lot of things have been great and very updated, and especially, life safety issues around, exiting, whatnot. It's all about safety in a lot of respects, making sure that fires don't happen.
Yeah.
And, there are some things that seem backwards, and you need, we had to pay a consultant a few $1,000s to write a letter to the city to basically say, this will work even though it goes against the Ontario Building Code. No. And it was a very basic thing about a slope of a duct for our kitchen exhaust, and but there was no other way to do it because it's a heritage building. We couldn't put any rooftop equipment on the roof. We couldn't vent the way that you would typically do it. So we had a limited ceiling height in the kitchen, so we had to slope the ductwork down instead of up always for 2 feet. But in order to do that, you need someone who is an incredible engineer and specialist in this saying, yes, this will work.
Wow.
And of course it will work, but they won't. It's all about who's going to take responsibility for it. So anyway, you just have to involve the right consultants and work with them, and there's always a way around the challenges. You just have to find it.
Excellent. Before we go, quickly, what are some of your favorite dishes here? What are the most popular dishes when people are coming here? And I guess, what is maybe an average kind of night out for a couple of young people, or trying that are graduating university, trying